We're going to go ahead and begin our regularly scheduled city council meeting. The time is 6 o'clock, so we're going to get started on time today. So would like to welcome you all out this evening. Again, this is our regularly scheduled city council meeting for November 7th. And again, thank you for being here with us tonight. So before we do jump into our invocation, just a reminder to everyone in this room that it is election day. If you haven't voted yet, you still have time. So if you need to get up and get to the polls, you're more than welcome to do so. So you can do that. So just to make sure, if you did not vote yet, you do still have time. 8 p.m. is when those polls close. So we will begin this meeting, as all our meetings, with an invocation. Following that invocation, do we want to invite, or she? I think she went out to invite them in. Hopefully bringing them in. So we have some special guests with us tonight, and I believe that's who's coming in the room at this time. So following our invocation, we will invite a few members of the Cook County 13U baseball team to come forward following the invocation to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So as soon as their prayer is done, whoever was the ones chosen, if any of the baseball players are hearing me, if you were chosen for that, once the prayer is done, if you could come forward and please introduce yourselves first and then lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So with that, if you would please stand for our invocation, which will be offered by David Moody of the Christ Community Church. Thank you for being here. Thank you.
Yeah, let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the many gifts and blessings that you have given us through no work of our own, that we were born here in this country and able to go about city government, invoking your name before your face, freely and unhindered. And so we are very grateful for that, Lord. We pray for wisdom for the city council and the government officials. And Lord, as we have this transition here today, we pray for peaceful transition, good collaboration, good faith interaction. And we ask, Lord, that Caldwell would flourish and that the inevitable problems that come up would be addressed humbly and with, again, great gratitude for the many blessings that we have. And so we ask this in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. So if those players that were going to lead us, if you'd please come forward at this time. So just come on, if you don't mind, just say your name into the microphone, and then, are you going to have all these? Okay, excellent. So we'll have you all lead us. Want to go up there and just say your name real quick, and then we'll have lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
We're Cook County Youth Baseball 13U.
Yep, that'll work. So, okay, are you? No, it's on all of us.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Wonder if people know why we did that.
Okay, yeah, we'll do that here in just 1 minute. So, Madam Clerk, if you please call the roll. Oh. Sorry, I got you away.
All right, Static.
Here.
Register. Here. McGee.
Here.
Allgood.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
We're good. So all city council members are present. Councilor McGee is joining us via Zoom at home this evening. So are there any conflict of interest declarations from any members of the council regarding any items on the agenda this evening? Okay, so we're going to jump into our special presentations. We are going to mix this around just a little bit. We're going to throw C to A, so you guys just all got bumped up 2 grades, or 2, I guess, from a C to an A. So you tell your moms you had an A tonight at City Council. So just to kind of go over that, our Pledge of Allegiance was done by our Cook County 13U baseball team, who won the regionals and attended the Babe Ruth World Series. So we wanted to recognize them this evening on that great accomplishment that they did. And so we will we'll have Coach Wunderlich, if you don't mind, if you'd come forward. Is that all right? And bring whoever you'd like with you on that. So as they're coming up, just an amazing effort. We had the privilege, myself, Chief Ingram, and a few other police officers and some from the sheriff's office as well, to escort these fine young men and their families to the airport when they flew out to go and compete. And they represented Caldwell exceptionally well. And we're super proud of them and the effort that they gave in and day out, I'm sure, throughout the season to achieve what they did, and not many teams get to do that. And so it's just an excellent job, and they are led by incredible men. We're grateful for them as well as and the parents. There's so much that goes into having a successful baseball program on any level, and it's got to have full buy-in from the coaches, the players, the parents, everybody involved. And so we're just grateful for that and grateful for them for all that they've done and super proud of them. We do have some certificates for the players on that. But Coach Wunderlich, if we give you a few minutes at the microphone.
I don't know if I've got a few minutes in me, so I'll try to make it quick. But first and foremost, we want to say thank you very much for all the unbelievable support from Caldwell and the community to help these young men and this team get to Glen Allen, Virginia, and have an experience of a lifetime. We brought with us today a good friend of ours, local kid, Jacob Huff, is actually making these wood bats, American Batsmith, and he made these for some of the people that supported us in our journey and the incredible donations. And so we'd like to present this to the city of Caldwell. It's a bat with a thank you on it, and I'll show it to you in a second, as well as a signed baseball from the boys and a thank you card from the team. We are just incredibly grateful for everything that the community did, the city of Caldwell, the Caldwell Police Department, and getting us to the airport. And we just feel very, very fortunate to be part of this community, and thank you very much.
Yeah, well, thank you to you, and congratulations to the team. So. Thank you. We come down.
Thank you.
You have these certificates from each of you. So I'll just read this. I know for those at home, I better get on the microphone. So I'll just read this. So this says, Cole County 13U team, I would like to compliment you on your dedication and hard work, which landed you a spot at the 2023 Babe Ruth World Series. What an accomplishment. Teamwork and dedication are what allowed you to achieve this incredible success. I am very proud that you represented not only Caldwell, but the entire state of Idaho with class and dignity as you faced off against teams from across the country. Each of you have sacrificed and given up time with family and friends to get to where you are today. You have practiced and worked hard all season for this well-deserved achievement. I admire your determination to reach your goals and encourage you to keep that same drive and determination throughout the rest of your lives. With that, you will attain incredible success, guaranteed. Sincerely, Jerem Wagner, Mayor, City of Caldwell.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Very good. Okay, can we get a picture? So we got a center with the flag back there, does that work? So,
All back, you know the drill.
Back row, Coop, slide it back.
Two rows.
Hey, you wanna hold that?
Come on, jump in there. Photo moment.
Oh, I'm good, sir.
Okay. On three. 1, 2, 3. One more time. Okay, thank you.
Okay, good job. And I think it'd be fitting if we could have family members of these fine young men, if you don't mind standing also to be recognized. So if you are here with these wonderful young men, do you mind standing up so we can recognize you as well? And this bat is wonderful, so it's got everybody's name on it, the dates and stuff, so this will be a prized possession of the city of Caldwell for sure. So we will display that in a great location for everyone to see, so. If anybody gets out of hand tonight, we got something to put you back in place, so that's good. So, but thank you again so much, and still, again, just want to recognize these great young men, the dedication that they did, the hours they put in. Just so proud of you and the way that you represented Caldwell. So, and again, to your coaches for the hours that you put in. You touch many young men's lives, and it's not just about making them great baseball players, but you make them great young men and great future leaders. So thank you for all that you do as well. Okay, that then moves us on to, and you're welcome to stay and hang out if you like. If you need some motivation to get to sleep tonight, it's great, but if you're... Yep. Yeah, I saw one with his name on the back that matched yours, so, yes, thank you so much, really do appreciate you. Thank you. Okay, and that was it was an early morning, I don't remember what time it was early when we got up and took him to the airport. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, I think it was like 2 in the morning, but that was fun, get to do that with them. Our next special presentation is for Seatown Boxing Organization. If you want to please come forward, and we'll turn the time over to you.
All right. Good evening. Can you all hear me okay? Good evening, Mayor Wagner, City Council members, fellow citizens of Caldwell. My name is Marisol Orozco, and I stand here tonight along with the head coaches of the Seatown Boxing Club, Ed Paisano and Mario Hernandez, to thank the City of Caldwell for the in-kind donation of the O'Connor Fieldhouse as the host facility of the Silverbelt Invitational. September 30th, 2023 was the return of the Silverbelt since the pandemic and the passing of its founder, my father, Manny Alvarez. Over the years, the Silverbelt has hosted young athletes from all over the Northwest, Utah, and California. In order to make each year better than the previous, Seatown Boxing, along with its partners, the Caldwell Optimist Club, take the time to plan, gather volunteers, and seek sponsorship from local businesses. It's a lot of hard work, but with so many good people focused on the goal to help these young athletes, we get the job done. This year, to have the support of our city and its leaders meant so much to the Seatown Boxing Club and its recreational program. The generous donation of the O'Connor Fieldhouse made a huge impact on how Seatown Boxing will be able to fund the necessary safety equipment used in its gym and even next year's Silverbelt, which we hope to make a 2-day event in the near future. So as a thank you, on behalf of our head coaches, myself, the memory of my father, and in the spirit of championing positive community programs, especially those that involved our youngest citizens, we'd like to present Mayor Wagner and the City of Caldwell with an honorary silver belt. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, yeah, you'd think he was running for office. That's a good deal.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much. And as she was showing me up there, and we'll have that if anybody's here at the end, you can come and look at that. It's got Mandy's picture on there, so that's really heartwarming. And again, just the same that we said to those great coaches of those baseball players, same to you. I mean, you are shaping, the youth, our future leaders, and so we're grateful for all that you do and giving those kids a opportunity to come in and so have some wholesome recreation activity, leading them on a good path towards being great citizens of our community. So it can't be overstated the impact that you have on young men and young women, their lives and what they're doing. So thank you for your dedication, for what you do, the volunteer hours that you put into that. It truly does not go unnoticed. So thank you so much for that, and continuing the amazing legacy that your father set. And it's just, that he was that mentor for you and leading you. Now you are that mentor for others behind you. So it's just neat to see that continue on. So thank you so much for that, for being here. So we want to recognize you as well. So thank you so much for that. Okay, so pretty great. So we've had some pretty amazing special presentations, and we got one more incredible one to go on that. So this is for special presentation proclamation for Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month, which is for the month of November. Okay. So we're going to read this proclamation, then we do have a video that we will show. And we want to make a special recognition of Council Register as well at this time. So this proclamation says, whereas it is estimated that in 2023, 64,050 people will be diagnosed with pancreatic cancer in the United States, and 50,550 will die from the disease, and it is the third leading cause of cancer death in the United States. And whereas when symptoms of pancreatic cancer present themselves, it is usually too late for an optimistic prognosis, and 71% of pancreatic cancer patients die within the first year of their diagnosis, while 95% of pancreatic cancer patients die within the first 5 years. And whereas an estimated 280 people in Idaho will die this year from pancreatic cancer, and there is no cure, and there have been no significant improvements in survival rates in the last 40 years. And whereas the federal government invests significantly less money in pancreatic cancer research than it does in any of the other leading cancer killers, and pancreatic cancer research constitutes only roughly 2% of the National Cancer Institute's research funding. And whereas the IAM 149 Foundation, honoring the legacy of Caldwell Police Officer James Chad Register, is committed to supporting those patients battling the pancreatic cancer in Idaho and nationwide, as well as to those who have lost their lives to this disease and are committed to nothing less than a cure. And whereas the good health and well-being of the residents of Idaho are enhanced by a direct result of increased awareness and research into early detection, causes, and effective treatment. Now therefore I, Mayor Jerem Wagner, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2023 as Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month in the city of Caldwell, Idaho. And I believe we have a video that we're going to show. Oh, sorry, Chief, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. First and foremost, I just want to recognize everyone that's in the room today and acknowledge you guys. So I'm going to go down the list. Chad Register's mother, Gail, please stand up. Dawn, Chad's sister, and her husband, Doug, please stand up. Linda, Chad's sister, and her husband, Bert. Thank you, Bert. Michael, Chad's nephew, and his wife, Kelly. Chad's son, Shane. Chad's daughter, Caitlin. And his great-nephew, Andon. I just want to tell you, as the chief of police in Caldwell, I never got a chance to meet Chad Register. But what you're about to see on this video is truly who he was at his core. And I haven't talked to one person, and several of these people here, my command staff, have had the pleasure of serving alongside Chad. Not one person says anything bad about Chad. His reputation will live forever. His reputation precedes him, and he is at the very core of what we are trying to build here in this culture in the Caldwell Police Department. June 24th of 2016, we lost a true hero here in Caldwell. And every year what we do is we go to Washington, D.C., and we put the heroes on the wall at the National Police Officers Memorial. And that's something that I'm very dedicated to doing. And I want to let you know that you will never, ever be forgotten. Ever be forgotten. And this organization, as long as we are here, will continue to remember Chad in his honor and make sure that you never go to sleep alone knowing that he is no longer with us. And that's my commitment to you guys. Thank you. You can take a seat. Counselor Register. Chad was Counselor Register's husband when he passed away. And one thing I can say about Chad is he worked until the day that he passed away. He was a true warrior. And nothing is more critical to the success of a police officer than the person at home keeping them on the job and supporting them. And so I just want to say thank you for that, and thank you for the support that you obviously provide this department. You came to me about 6 months ago and asked for some videos and some sort of archive footage of him doing his job so you can give to the family and yourself and remember him. So what we did in the last 6 months is we've compiled a lot of video that Officer Register was involved in. And we made a video montage of the selfless work that he did and continued to do up until the day that he died. So this video might be a little emotional, as it should be, but just know that you are not alone, that we have a family here to support you, and they will always do that, no matter what. Without further ado, the video. Thank you.
You want your girls back inside? All right, girls, come on, Mom wants you back in.
The doctor will take a look at you, man, and say, okay, maybe this will work for you better, you know, even though you were all happy on Abilify, you know, you have other medications out there that might be able to help you out better, you know, or at least.
Hello, so what's going on today? Hello, how are you? You have somebody break into your home? You have any other family, mom, dad, anything like that, no? Yeah, the people that are doing the search warrant, they're gonna make sure everything's secure for you in your house, okay? Alright, so here's my business card. He's actually the officer in charge of this case, but if you get a hold of me if you have any questions, I'll be able to answer any questions you have. Okay. Just go ahead and double get that wall for me, and then take handcuffs off for you, okay? So when I keep your right hand, I want you to place that on the wall right there, okay? Sitting in a pursuit of 183 on the freeway. You doing all right back there?
I can tell from her, I mean, it looks like she's well dressed, she's got nice stuff in her room. It's like all your kids are well taken care of, so it's not a matter of that. There's something going on, right, that probably none of us know about.
Just want to go through this 124 one at gunpoint on a felony stop for multiple vehicles.
All right. Well, we'll get it squared away as best we can, all right?
All right.
Thanks.
So just to wrap that up and conclude by saying that this is obviously a disease that affects more than just police officers. This is affecting our country every day. You know, just on Saturday, we went to northern Idaho and buried a fellow police officer who died in the line of duty last week from a heart attack. So we take this stuff very serious, but we want to just let the family know, Counselor Register, that we will always not only be there for you guys, but to never stop bringing awareness. That's why we're all wearing these purple ribbons on our uniforms for Pancreatic Cancer Awareness Month. And Chad's badge number 149 will never be forgotten and is officially retired. So no one will ever be issued that badge number again. So at this point, can I invite all the family up here, Counselor Register, take a picture, if that's okay, Mr. Mayor? Please. And we'll do that. Thank you.
I don't wanna sound bossy. Okay, here we go. One more time. Come on. No. Okay, looks good. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more time. Okay.
Very good. Thank you so much for the opportunity to do that. That was pretty awesome to see that, and to see I think that's what gets missed so much is the humanity that is shown from those truly amazing officers, that even though they may be dealing with criminals day in and day out, they still treat them with kindness and with respect. And you could see that was just amplified with Officer Register on that. So that was awesome to see. So thank you so much for being here. We appreciate that. We appreciate the opportunity to honor him and his legacy. And again, it's about bringing awareness to this disease that, as we read in that proclamation, you can see that it just does not get its time in the sun as it needs to be, and to raise that awareness is so important. So anything that we can do to do that, so we appreciate all of you being here and allowing us to recognize the wonderful man that Chad was, and the dedication that that he gave, not only to the city of Caldwell, but to every resident within its boundaries. So thank you again for being here and allowing us to recognize you and to recognize him. So thank you again so much for that. So thank you. Yeah. And that really is one of the greatest honors of being mayor, is getting to know these employees and their dedication and service to our community. And just, we have amazing people that work at the city of Caldwell in every one of our departments. And again, it's neat to see. I know I have the opportunity to meet with each new employee when they come on to the city, and I met with one of our police officers who had just started. This was about 6 months ago. He came into my office, was all dirty. He was in his uniform. It just kind of was covered in dirt. And he had to run down a suspect from Walmart that had shoplifted. And anyway, the suspect ended up jumping into a ditch and hiding, and was able to get him. And he told to me the experience that he had as he did that he wasn't out there trying to rough the suspect up or anything like that, but he was able to get him, and even kind of, Ken Rousing was like, hey, why'd you make me do that? Why'd you make me run after you? I'm not in that kind of shape to have to chase after you, and just kind of, made the know that this is not a hardened criminal, but really gave this guy a chance to know that, look, you can change your life. And he encouraged him, look, you were better than this. You can do better than this. And then he took that opportunity to give hope to this person rather than to tear him down. And those are the kind of men and women that we have, serving in our police department. And I couldn't be more proud of every single one of them and what they do. And again, that was exemplified in that video we saw of Officer Register and the epitome of what he showed in doing that. So we thank every one of them and their dedication, their service to our community. Okay, and that does end our special presentations for tonight. Those are all pretty spectacular, so a great night for that. So we appreciate you allowing us to do that. Do we have the audience? Very good. So we do not have anybody signed up for audience participation, so that moves us to our consent calendar. I do believe we have some amendments for that.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to correct item number 27 on the consent calendar, to change the word "from" to the word "to" read "permanent easement to the state of Idaho." I move that we remove from new business item number 10, ordinance number 3546, and I also move that we add to new business item 3A to consider the election of the city council president.
All right, so we have a motion for amendments to that agenda. Do we have a second?
So moved.
Very good. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Do we have a motion for approval of the consent calendar as amended?
So moved.
We have a motion from Counselor Williams and a second from Counselor Stodic for approval of the consent calendar as amended. And with that, we'll open the voting.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Counselor McGee.
I'm having a little electronic problem here, but my vote is an aye for this.
Very good. We'll note that. So we'll go ahead and close the voting then with Counselor McGee voting in the positive, in the affirmative, as well as all other council members. So that does pass unanimously. And who says that one word doesn't make a difference? That one change that you made on that made all the difference on that one. So it does actually make a big difference on a single word. Okay, that moves us to get past these first couple pages. So we do have a few items of old business that we need to take care of. First one is public hearing for the purpose of taking public comment concerning a recalculation of fees previously charged at the Caldwell Executive Airport. Raylyn?
Good evening, councilmen and women. So there's a couple before you tonight. Essentially, what I have before you, so when in August we presented before you increase, it was below 5%, and so it just kind of snuck through the increase of the lease fees. And I didn't catch it because it was right in the middle of budget, but it was that 3-digit, and we were talking with Rochelle and Scott. We really want to get it to that 2-digit, and so I appreciate the feedback of the last public hearing of this. And so before you now is a correction. So I took it back to the 2023 rate, but cut it off at the 2-digit. So you will see that it is actually a decrease from even the 2023 rate, from 0.325 to 0.32 for the land lease rate of the no outside access, and for the outside access, it's from 0.42. There's actually 0.435 was what was approved, and I changed it to 0.420.
Yeah.
So there is some feedback.
So Councilor McGee, just letting you know that you are unmuted right now.
Thanks, Mayor.
You're welcome. Been there, done that. So.
My daughter and I both thank you.
There's also some, we found that there's some fees that were not accounted on the fee sheet originally. So those were published as new. And so those are the tie-down late fee, which is $25. The Hubler office space rental fee, which is 15 cents per square feet daily. The agricultural land lease rate of $215 per acre annual. The RPZ space, which is $1,000 per acre annual, and the gate cards, which is $30. Those fees have been charged before, they just have not been documented, which now they will be documented and part of the process up for approval for you guys. So, the other change you will see, Scott requests, or our Director of Aviation requested the tie-down fee to be decreased from $75 to $50. So those are the changes.
Okay, very good. Any questions from council for Raylyn? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate it. And there is nobody signed up on this matter. So with that, I would stand for a motion to close the public testimony portion of this hearing.
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
A motion from Councilor Stodic and a second from Councilor Allgood to close the public testimony portion of this hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. So with that, that moves us into approval, considering the resolution. So we could have, there's either discussion from council or any motions to approve that resolution.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Allgood.
I move we approve the resolution for the airport fees as presented.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Allgood and a second from Councilor Williams for approval of the resolution for adopting the schedule of fees for services provided and regulatory charges at the Caldwell Executive Airport effective October 1, 2023. So this does go in arrears to be effective of October 1st of this year. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, with that, then the voting is open. Is your voting working count, or it looks like it is, I think. And there it is. Excellent. So all votes are cast, so voting is closed, and that passes unanimously. Now, that moves us into new business, which I don't know, I kind of like this extra elbow room up here from this.
I'll second that, Mr. Mayor.
There we go. So maybe we'll move on to action item number 3. So, no, but seriously, we do have action item number 1, presentation of appointment for City Council seat number 1. As you notice, we do have a vacant seat here next to me. Mr. Doty, due to his retirement, his wonderful service with the Idaho State Police, it's funny that they have to punish you to make you resign once you retire from being a wonderful, faithful servant of the community. After his many years of service with Idaho State Police, Mr. Doty retired at the end of September, and due to Idaho State PERSI laws, was required to resign his position for 30 days here with the City Council, so he did do that. And I know that it was, I think, missed by a lot of people, but he did explain that at the last council meeting that he was present for, the reasoning for that, on that. So it really is my honor to be able to present his name for that council seat, number 1. So that would be for Mr. Brad Doty to fill council seat number 1. So with this appointment, it allows Councilor Doty to finish the term that he was duly elected to in that regard. And so I think that's important to note, that he was elected to this office, to this chair right here, and that was for a 4-year term, which with this appointment will put him up for re-election 2 years from tonight. I guess if he so chooses on that. But I've really appreciated Councilor Doty. He's done a terrific job up here and representing the city. And so again, it's my pleasure, my privilege to be able to present his name to the council for that appointment.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Williams.
I move that we consider it.
Very good. So we have a motion from Councilor Williams to consider the appointment of Brad Doty to City Council seat number 1. Do we have a second of that consideration?
Second.
And a second from Councilor Stoddard. Any discussion on that motion? Cat's got everybody's tongue. So very good. Okay. So with that then, we will open that for voting. So again, this is for the appointment of Brad Doty to fill City Council seat number 1.
No, I can't do that too.
They're still, I think, deciding on my right, Brad, if they want you back up here next to him or not, so.
We're still considering the room. That's not working, I don't think, for some reason.
Wonder if the batteries have gone out, so.
On this, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll roll call on, oh, there we go. We got one in, so we'll roll call for Mr. Stoddard. There we go. Okay, all votes are in and passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Doty. If you want to please come forward and we will swear you in again.
Harassment never ends, does it?
Keep it nice and short. I, Brad Doty. Do solemnly swear. That I will support the Constitution. Constitution of the State of Idaho. I will faithfully discharge. Duties of City Council member. Caldwell. According to the best of my ability. You're going the wrong way. Oh, he's like, cut off over there. It's kind of nice, isn't it? It looks like you already ran off one of our council members, so. Okay, well, it really is great to have you back up here, so I know that it is kind of silly that we have to do that, but gotta follow. Again, it used to be 90 days, now it's 30 for, emergency personnel, so we're grateful that it was just a 30-day and not the 90, so it's good to have you back up here. And so that does lead us into our, amended agenda, so we do have the consideration for the election of a city council president at this time.
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Williams.
I move that we re-elect Brad Doty as the city council president. I think in the same vein as what we've had to do here tonight, it makes sense that he not be penalized because of the Percy rule, and that we just vote to reinstate him as our council president for the remainder of this year.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Very good. So a motion from Councilor Williams and a second from Councilor Allgood for the election of Councilor Doty to serve as council president for the remainder of this year. And as was noted, he was the council president at the time that he did have to resign. So is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, with that, can we just do a voice vote on that?
Yes.
Okay, so we can just do a voice vote. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And if there be any opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. And look for that big bonus into your next check for the council president, which there is none, if people are wondering. So, but again, great to have you back up here. Okay, so now that puts us on to action item number 3, public hearing for the purpose of taking public comment regarding a petition for the vacation of unopened public right-of-way at Tate's Way. Mr. McDonald, you doing that?
Mr. Mayor and Council, this item is for the vacation of right-of-way that is in the parcel that is owned by Tate's Rents. I brought this item before council several months ago, and the intent there was to get a head nod from council for the approval of a vacation of this section of right-of-way, so that they could proceed then to go through the entire process required for that vacation and start looking at how they would lay out the site. After council approved that, the concept of vacation, they went through the legwork. The vacation process has been implemented. They have been, all the utility companies, which I don't believe there were any, were all notified of the vacation. And then, as part of that process, they were required then to come back and complete the final steps of that vacation. And that is the vacation of the right-of-way section that runs in a northeasterly direction from the boulevard, connecting up to a potentially a future alignment of Gray Lane. And so with that, everything's been completed. The statute requires a public hearing, so if anybody is here that wants to protest that, they are welcome to protest that vacation. And then if there are no, and then after that, I guess the council has the prerogative to make the final decision to vacate that property.
Excellent.
Or that right away, I should say.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Any questions from council for Mr. McDonald? Okay, very good. And there is nobody signed up in favor or neutral or to protest against in opposition. So, with that, I'd send for a motion to close the public testimony portion of this hearing. And a second? Very good. Like it. Doty jumps right in. So that's a motion from Councilor Doty, a second from Councilor Static. Close the public testimony portion of this hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Okay, so that moves us into deliberation, consideration, and any motions from council for the request, or I guess it'd be for the sponsorship of this bill and ordinance.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Doty.
I make a motion that we consider bill number 53, ordinance 3547, approving a vacation for unopened public right-of-way at Tate's Way with a request to move for its passage by title only.
Very good. So we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion from Councilor Doty and a second from Councilor Static for the adoption of bill number 53, ordinance number 3547, to request for move for its passage by title only. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, with that, then the voting is open at this time. Gotta push the button. Did you forget about that already?
Push. There we go.
There we go. So it's a little rusty. That's all right. We'll get through it. Okay. So that's true. Right, it has. So that motion does pass unanimously. And that moves us to action item number 5, consider resolution accepting a water and sanitary easement from Tate's Rental Development in association with this vacation that just took place. Do you want to present on that real quick?
I apologize, Mayor and Council. I forgot to mention there is a water line that runs north. In the section of right-of-way, they are not vacating, but it does extend a little bit beyond the vacation location to a blow-off. And the water department needs to be able to access that, and so there is an easement that is extended there. And likewise, the sewer line extends just a little bit beyond what the vacation is. Neither of these utilities are going to be impacted by their site development, but it is necessary that we have an easement over those utilities so that we can access them.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions for Mr. McDonald regarding that easement? Okay, thank you so much. And with that being a resolution, we didn't have any testimony, I don't think, signed up for that. Is that correct? On the sign-up sheet. Okay, so with that, is there any discussion or motions in regards to this resolution?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Elgin,
I would move that we accept the resolution as presented.
do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Elgin, a second from Councilor Register to approve the resolution as presented. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, the voting is open. And with that, you're getting good at it now. Look how quick that one was. So, voting is closed and that motion does pass unanimously.
There you go.
That moves us on to action item number 6. This is a public hearing request. This is case number CPM 23-8 and ZON 23-7. Riley Planning Services on behalf of Doug Clegg is requesting a comprehensive plan land use map amendment from low-density residential to high-density residential, including a rezone from R1 low-density to R3 high-density residential for Lenity Apartments Phase 2. With that, you don't look like Katie, but that's all right. So this is, I believe, our new planner. So if you don't mind, maybe just introduce yourself. We haven't even had a chance yet to sit down and talk. So if you can introduce yourself to the council and know who you are and what position you're filling here at the city.
Absolutely, yeah. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good to be here. Started my 4th week or 3rd or something like that. At this point, they all blend together in the planning world. My name is Joe Dodson. Formerly City of Meridian, then private sector and back to public sector. I do live in Meridian, apologize, but it's where we ended up. I'm in the planner 3 position, so a senior planner, so to speak, and I'm covering for Katie. Unfortunately, she sounds a bit more like me tonight and is not feeling very well, so we tried to cover for her tonight and make sure she gets rest. So I'm honestly an open book, probably more than I should be in a professional way, so just anytime you guys want to talk or reach out, I'm happy to respond and coordinate with you guys, and look forward to working with you as time progresses here. So, if you guys have any questions now?
I think we're good. We'll let you jump
All
on
right.
in. So
Sounds good. So the first project tonight is Lenity Living 2. And again, my name is Joe Dodson, Planner 3, address 621 Cleveland Boulevard. It's CPM 23-08 as noted, and ZON 23-07. These applications did go to P&Z on September 27th and tentatively approved that SUP application for this project. The project is located, maybe, somewhere. There we go. The project is located on a 10.2-acre parcel near the southeast corner of Montana Avenue and Ustick Road behind Lenity Living Apartments 1. The site has frontage along Lenity Living Avenue, which heads north-south to Ustick and bisects the site. The applications before you tonight, as noted, are a comprehensive plan amendment of the 10.2-acre site from low-density residential to high-density residential, a subsequent rezone of 10.2 acres of land from the R1 and C2 zoning districts to the R3 zoning district. It does have a split zone on the property currently. The approved CUP from September 27th is to allow traditional walk-up multifamily, residential buildings, and a couple triplexes within the requested R3 zone. The project site is currently surrounded by commercial and residential to the north along Ustick, single-family to the south and west, as well as some agricultural to the west, and county residential and agricultural to the east. The subject site was annexed into the city in 2006 with a zoning designation of R1 low-density residential and a small area of C2 community commercial. It was annexed with the parcel to the north as Phase 1 and was intended to be a Phase 2. It has since been subdivided. It should be noted that at the time of Phase 1 construction, city code permitted the proposed multifamily use by right and did not require any land use applications. Amenities are proposed to be shared between both phases of the project. That'd be the existing and the proposed tonight. For context, the site to the north consists of 4 apartment buildings and an assisted living facility as shown on the screen. This application is asking to continue the development that was always intended for this site. As noted as part of the applicant's request tonight, it does consist of a rezone from R1 low density and C2 community commercial to the R3 high density residential district. The purpose of the R3 district is to provide areas that provide locations to medium to high density residential developments at a density consistent with the comp plan. This type of zoning is intended to provide transition or buffer areas between commercial uses and lower intensive uses, and to provide places for higher density in selected places of the city's neighborhoods. The proposed development is surrounded by existing low density, community commercial, medium density, and high density zoning. The proposal provides a transitional zone from the commercial along U-Stick to the low density residential to the south. To assist with the transition and according to the applicant's narrative, the multiplex units along the south boundary are proposed to be single-story structures. The proposed comp plan amendment from low density to high density is consistent with the intent of the comprehensive plan to provide a transition from major corridors as U-Stick and non-residential uses, as noted the commercial along U-Stick. In addition, the proposed project density of 191 units on 10.2 acres constitutes a gross density of 18.7 units per acre, which is compliant with the allowed density in the comprehensive plan for the requested high-density residential designation. The proposed project does consist of a mix of uses, including traditional walk-up multifamily, single-story multiplexes as noted along the south boundary, and a daycare. The triplexes and multifamily are specially permitted uses within the requested R3 district, and hence why there was the concurrent SUP application, the special use permit. The applicant is proposing the development to consist of 180 multifamily units, 3 triplexes, and a duplex, to total 191 units. A clubhouse with a pool and a tot lot are proposed within this phase of the development and are centrally located in this. The applicant is also proposing a daycare on the west side of the project. Both the clubhouse with the pool and the daycare should help serve both Phase 1 and Phase 2. The proposed development project has been analyzed for compliance with city codes, and staff finds that it is compliant with all parking and landscaping requirements, bulk standards for lot size, setbacks, frontage, and building height, and will have adequate site access, utilities, and services to serve the site. It is also in compliance with all other zoning ordinances if all conditions of approval are met. There were 3 pieces of public testimony submitted at the time of the staff report publication. 2 were against the project from a Miss Lynette Hansel and a Mr. Dustin Bentley. And then Mr. Tom Manschreck, I apologize if I butchered any names, was supportive of the project. As far as conditions for the site, the development will be maintained by a property manager as one specific condition, as well as the applicant is required to receive approval of a lot split application, splitting the lot and dedicating that right-of-way for Lenity Living Avenue prior to the issuance of any building permits. They'll have to come back in and do that administrative process with staff. Staff recommends that if council approves this request, that such request should be subject to the conditions as specified in the findings of fact, conclusions of law, and order of decision. P&Z did approve the SUP contingent upon the approvals tonight and requested and recommended approval of the comp plan and the rezone. Here's a site plan, and I will stand for any questions that you may have,
Very good.
as well as Robin.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Any questions from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor Stoddard.
So is it spelled D-O-B or D-O-T?
D-O-D.
Okay, oh, okay. Didn't have it right at all.
No worries.
Okay.
I get that all the time.
Yeah. So reading the background information on this, one of the big concerns that we always have on these projects is apartments looking down into residential backyards, but this isn't going to happen in this project, right? Because you said it was single-story apartment?
The property, the buildings proposed on the south boundary are actually single-story structures. And in the packet, I hope you did to get a chance to look at those conceptual elevations, and it does show single-story structures.
Okay, so that solves that problem as far as the letters are concerned?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The other thing I want to do is, I don't know if Robin had something to do with this or not, but I do appreciate the large sign that was put up on some of these announcements. It's one heck of an improvement over what we had before. It just seems like we were trying to hide our signs instead of letting the public know that we have some projects coming up, but I do appreciate that. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, thank you so much, appreciate that. Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, just one.
Yes, Councilor Doty?
Do we know when phase one was approved? By chance?
Off the top of my head, I do not know.
Robin, I can get it.
Yeah, we can look that up.
Yeah, it would have been, I was the planner on it actually, so it would have been about 8 years ago-ish.
2018 is what Robin's stating.
Yeah.
I'm guessing at that time, phase two was discussed,
Mhm.
2018. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Councilor Williams?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I think, what you said, I wanted to be clear on, had we not changed the, law, this wouldn't even be before us as an SUP, because it would already have been approved, and so this builder kind of got caught in a change on our end. Is that what I understood you to say?
From my understanding, that is,
Okay,
that's what
and I
happened.
think that's what I understood too when I went through the research of it, because typically I struggle to see these changes
Right.
from R1 to R3, but that gives me pause, that we had an agreement with the developer, that now to deny this would be to go back on an agreement we previously made with the developer. Is that fair?
If there was no part of the development agreement, I would probably punt this to the attorney at all if we need to, but if there was a development agreement originally with that site that did include this area, then yes, but regulations do change, and so if this was not originally part of that phase one, then they are going through the proper channels now. But in the spirit of the previous thought with phase one, I could see this.
Right, that's probably better said. I don't know if you know, and I'm not even sure, are the Lenity apartments senior apartments?
I know there's an assisted living component, but I don't know. Probably the applicant will
Those
know.
apartments that are along Montana, those are senior apartments, and so these would be senior apartments as well?
I'll let the applicant speak to that.
Okay, that'd be good.
Just to make sure we're clear. I don't want to speak for them.
And then, one final question, the daycare, and maybe I'll ask the applicant. Thank you.
Understood.
Any other questions for
Mr.
staff? Yeah,
Just
Councilor
one
Alves?
quick, and I think you already answered, I just want to confirm.
Yes, sir.
With this development, if it's approved, Lenity will be a through street?
Yes, it will connect, as is shown, right between the property and connect to the single-family subdivision to the south. Yes.
Any other questions for staff?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Register.
Just real quick, so the first phase was apartments, you said, right?
Yes, phase one. What is being considered phase one was apartments and an assisted living facility.
Okay, and then that empty lot that looks like it's, I guess, to the west,
To the west.
do you know what that's zoned as?
It's not zoned currently. It's a county parcel.
That's county? Okay. And then, do you know if on the phase one, if they had to get a zoning change for that?
They didn't. They were annexed in 2006, and then if they came through in 2018, and they did not have to do a zone change. No, ma'am.
Okay, so they didn't,
There was no land use applications required at that time.
okay, so at that time, they wouldn't have had to try to rezone the
Correct.
lot that they're looking at right now? Okay, and then I'm also interested to find out if there was an actual agreement, and then if it's senior apartments as well.
Understood. We'll look that up.
Okay, anything else for staff? Okay, thank you so much, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so we move into our people who signed up, and Penelope signed up in opposition, but I'm guessing that you are here in support. We can change that, no problem. Just want to make sure it's on the record that you are in favor as the applicant, not opposed to your application.
Mayor and council members, for the record, Penelope Constantakis with Riley Planning Services. It seemed like everywhere I tried to route myself to Caldwell this evening, I ran into a traffic accident. So I think maybe I was a little flustered when I got here,
Correct.
because I got here right at 6. And then I worked with Joe Dodson when he was at the City of Meridian, and I think you guys have scored a great asset for the city. You're welcome. He always does great work. The application obviously before you this evening is for a comprehensive plan land use map amendment and a rezone to match the approved SUP for Lenity Apartments Phase 2. I'm going to jump around a little bit, and I apologize. There are two kinds of housing provided with this development. There'll be both regular folks, and then there is an over 55 section. The townhouses that are single level along the south property line that transition for height, those are over 55 units. So we have both, and then we have the assisted living that's in the northeast corner and the regular apartments in the northwest corner. So there's a nice blend of housing types that will be provided across the entire project. So, as you know, Phase 1 was a by right development based on the previous city code, and with the recent change in zoning code, we, of course, had to move forward with an SUP. It was approved as proposed by the Planning and Zoning Commission. We talked about two things at the hearing. One of them was the height transition. So when the architect designed the site and the developer was behind a lot of the philosophy, was the idea was to create as much buffer as possible. So we have single townhouse style residential units across the south boundary that face northward. So that's where their front door is. They have a 2-car garage in the back and a drive aisle. And so the garage, the drive aisle, and the 10-foot wide landscape buffer will separate these units from the single family to the south of us. And I calculated the distance from the south property line to one of the tall buildings, and it was 181 feet. So there's a good distance that's configured into that. There's an extensive assortment of amenities that will go with both phases of Lenity 2 at this point in time. We do have a daycare. It's there just for the residents of Lenity 1, Lenity 2, and we're adding the senior or the assisted living staff. So anyone who works at the assisted living facility with small children can use the daycare also. And it's built to accommodate 40 children, so it's a pretty good sized daycare. We worked with planning staff and the fire department during the processing period to fine-tune just a couple of items, and we really appreciated their assistance. So the architect focused on complementing Phase 1, but she wanted to upgrade it and pull it up to a higher standard. So in her narrative, and I'm just going to read out of my project narrative, the design style for the apartments will be craftsman architecture and will be similar in style and color palette to the existing apartments for Phase 1. The apartments have been updated to improve the overall efficiency of the plan and to meet the needs of the city housing community. So they're a little bit more dressier than the first phase. We've got two types of housing in the apartment buildings. There's 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom units. And of course, the senior level over 55 units. So we follow the industry standard, which was 25% 1-bedroom, 50% 2-bedroom, and 25% 3-bedroom. I spoke with the professional manager that's handling Lenity 1, spent quite a bit of time on the phone with him. He indicated that they had a substantial number of tenants who work remotely, which is nice because then they're not out driving around on the roads, and that families were less common than singles and couples with no children. So our demographics in America are changing anyhow. And so that was the intel I got from him after a leasing period. The clubhouse, of course, is going to be part of Phase 2, but it's available to anyone living in Phase 1. There's a pool, a fitness facility, and a community gathering great room. And there'll be a property management office and 2 restrooms. The site design includes special attention to the height transition from the south boundary. And we also have all the amenities were located for Phase 2 up in the northwest corner so that they were easily accessible for the folks living in Phase 1. We did pay a heightened attention to ADA-focused facilities, amenities in the project as well. So the entire site is designed with an internal network of pathways that lead easily to the regional path that's adjacent to the site. And I might add that that section of the regional pathway that's adjacent to our site on the east was donated to the city of Caldwell by the applicant when the single-family subdivision went into the south of us. They needed to put a sewer line in. There were a variety of things that happened. So that section of the regional pathway was added as a result of the applicant's grant. The lot split that we need to incorporate the new public street is in process at this time with the project surveyor, and the engineer will confirm that the site layout matches the street connections. So we'll get that done. I mean, it's in process. We'll get it done soon. We've looked at all the hearing materials. We concur with staff's findings that we're compliant with the comp plan and the zoning ordinance. We have noted that the term period for the SUP is 1 year with the option to extend, and that a development agreement is required. We've reviewed the fire department, engineering department conditions, including the contribution that's requested for the road trust fund for 18.8% or proportionate share of an intersection. There were a couple other things I wanted to read to you from my original project narrative. So some of the services and amenities that are immediately in vicinity of the site. The Caldwell Greenbelt, there's a Walgreens, there's a Walmart neighborhood market, there's pet health services, we have dental care and orthodontics real close, right next door. The Treasure Valley YMCA, there's the Heritage Charter School, the Idaho Fitness Factory, there's self-storage across the Ustick Road, and the Ustick baseball fields are very close by as well. And so it's, from a transportation planning perspective, both the mayor and I were previously employed by ACHD, and I liked the idea that we were so well located in terms of accessibility to the kinds of things that people use on a day-to-day basis. So I don't want to use a lot of your time. I would be happy to answer or discuss with you anything that you'd like to talk about.
Very good. I had a couple questions. You answered one of them already, was the connections to the pathway, and it looks like there's multiple there. And as you mentioned, that is a public pathway, which will ultimately, it does already lead to the YMCA, Caldwell High School, and will ultimately lead to Lake Lowell and to Mallard Park. So it's an important pathway, so I'm glad that you have those connections there. The other one was the tot lot, and I can't remember if there was a clubhouse or not. When are those proposed to be built? At what stage of the project?
As far as I'm aware, this is just one phase. So I'm not aware of a phasing plan. I know that Caldwell likes to have amenities built with the first phase, so I'm aware of that from the multifamily I did on Marble Front Road. So I will be mindful of that.
Okay, very good. Thank you. That's all my questions. Councilor
Mayor,
Stoddard, yes.
Just have a few questions on the childcare. What ages are there going to be in the childcare?
Well, I'm assuming I have an adult now, but most mothers look for daycare from 6 months up to preschool or kindergarten. So I don't think there's going to be any narrowing of that range of ages in the daycare, as far as I'm aware.
Okay. And that, obviously, you'll charge for that, is that correct?
You know, I don't know. I'm going to make an assumption that it will be more nominal than you would find if you went out into the public sector.
Okay. And last question, maybe for staff, was there a traffic study done on this project too regarding all the units that are going in?
Yes, sir.
And
go ahead.
It was good?
Councilman Stoddard, Mayor, I honestly have not reviewed a traffic impact study. There very, very well may have been one done, but I do not recall reviewing it specifically recently.
Okay.
I apologize.
Mayor, Councilman, I actually have reviewed it pretty carefully, and there was a TIS done by Kimley Horn. And what would you like to know about it?
Well, we have apartments going in across the street from me, just down the road a little ways east. And I'm sure there's going to be some more on probably the east side of Indiana also. So, you know, traffic's always a problem for us, and we just want to make sure that a study was done, and the IREs will take, you know, the amount of vehicles that'll, be on those roads. So, both Montana and, Houston.
Mayor, Councilman, it's customary for traffic impact studies to incorporate in, you have existing conditions, and then they add in what they know is coming, and then they do build out. So those, I'm assuming, I'm pretty sure he included anything that they were aware of that was coming in,
Okay.
and being constructed.
All right.
So.
Thank you.
Sure. Uh-huh.
Yes.
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, and can I just point out that, yeah, I do have the traffic impact study here, and I apologize. This would have been reviewed by staff, and if there had been any concerns, they would have brought that to my attention. The other thing I will note is we are in the process, we have designed already, and in the spring, we plan to have a traffic light constructed at Montana and Ustick.
Very good. Okay, other questions from council? Yes, Councilor.
Just a quick question, and it may be for Rob or you, I'm not sure who can answer that, but when, I noticed in the traffic study that they're responsible for approximately 19% of the cost of the intersection. Is that the intersection of Montana and Ustick or Lenity and Ustick?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I think that it goes into the road trust, and then it's used where it's most needed immediately. That's my understanding. Maybe I'm incorrect.
Yeah, that is correct. So that's referring to the traffic mitigation. The city can dictate where the development needs to allocate that funding to do an improvement, or the other option is they can contribute the funds in lieu of an improvement, and then the city has the prerogative to use it where we feel like it's necessary within proximity of the project. And so in this case, those funds would likely be going to, probably to participate on the intersection of Montana and Ustick.
Yes, please.
I was just considering, the Montana-Ustick improvements will be far more expensive than, say, a Lenity and Ustick. So if you're saying 18 or 19%, which percentage would we be using? If that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. So to clarify, the way that it's written out is that's 18% of what the cost of a typical intersection is. And we have that defined. If we were going to go at a traffic signal at an intersection, that's been defined as $425,000. And so that is a percentage of that amount. And so it doesn't matter which intersection we're talking about, it's a defined amount.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Okay, and Penelope was the only one signed up on this matter. So before we do, obviously staff is always available for questions, but before we do close the public testimony portion of this hearing, are there any other questions for the applicant's representative? Okay, then I would stand for a motion to close the public testimony portion of this hearing.
So moved.
And a second?
Yeah.
So we have a motion from Councilor Stoddard and a second from Councilor Doty to close the public testimony portion of this hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Okay, so that moves us into deliberation and consideration and any motions from council. And again, if you do have additional questions regarding anything on this case and this matter, staff is always available. Councilor Williams.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I appreciate the presentation. It's almost as if people have been paying attention to our council meetings in the past, and a lot of things are being done that we would have asked for, and they just knew coming in, having the single story along that wall where those residences were, upgrading the appearance of that project from the first phase to make it look nicer, that sort of thing. My question was answered already about that intersection at Montana and Ustick. That was one of the questions I had, and you said in the spring, Mr. McDonald? So that's a big deal to me because it is going to be a significant mitigation, and that's one of our worst intersections in the city as far as accidents go. So I just think it's really helpful to us that some of these things are being taken care of so that we don't have to wrestle with them at this level.
Thank you so much. And maybe just one quick comment I'll make. Appreciated Councilor Stoddard's comment about the new signage. And I noticed that we actually have the old and the new one on here. I don't know if you noticed that, but the P&Z is the old one, so you can actually see the difference between the two, and it's night to day. So I thought that was kind of funny that we had both of those on there. So, okay. Any other comments or questions or anything of that nature for staff or for the fellow council members?
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, Councilor Register.
So I just want to make it clear that I am not a proponent of changing, from R1 to R3. However, I am a proponent of the city honoring its word. So I'm taking that into consideration as well for the agreement that we had prior to this, or at least the laws that were on the books at the time that the developer bought and thought he was going to be able to develop. So I just don't want to make a habit.
Very good, excellent. Appreciate that. Any other discussion or any motions?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Allgood.
I agree with everything that was said here, and I like the fact that we're doing infill instead of spreading out. You know, we're filling up the bare spots inside our city. I'm ready to make a motion.
Okay, go right ahead.
Based upon testimony and the evidence and record in this matter, and upon the findings of fact and conclusions of law, I move that CPM 23-8 for a comprehensive plan map and amendment from low-density residential to high-density residential to include Resolution 168-23 and ZON 23-7 for a zoning map amendment from low-density residential to high-density residential for parcel R32555-01200 be approved and subject to the conditions in the
Staff report.
there you go, staff report. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Very good. So we have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
So a motion from Councilor Allgood and then a second from Councilor Stoddard for approval of this request. Is there any discussion? And Councilor McGee, do you have any discussion or any questions before we vote on this motion?
No, Mayor, I'm just trying to keep my mic on mute.
You're doing good so far. We'll let you know if it's not. So, okay. So with that, then
Thank
the voting is open at this time. All votes are cast. The voting is closed, and that passes unanimously. You have a motion to close this public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We had, I think, 2 motions and 2 seconds. So a motion from Councilor Doty, a second from Councilor Allgood to close that public hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes. Okay, that moves us on to action item number 7. So this is a CPM 23-4, Zone 23-4, PUD 23-1, and Sub 23-3. So this is request NV5 on behalf of Viper Investments requesting comprehensive plan land use map amendment from medium density residential to highway corridor, a rezone from R2 medium density to HC highway corridor. Let's see what else we got in here. And then planned unit development and preliminary plat approval for Escalon Park with a proposed split zone of R1, HC, which is low density residential highway corridor, consisting of 9 commercial lots, 60 common lots, 1 road lot, 240 single family residential lots, and 1 apartment lot. So I'll end there and turn it over to you and let you go into more detail on that. So time is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. Again, name is Joe Dodson, Planner 3 with the City of Caldwell, 621 Cleveland Boulevard. I guess go back just a little. Again, before you tonight is Escalon Park, the second public hearing for project tonight. A comp plan map amendment, a rezone, a PUD, and a subdivision are the 4 applications before us tonight. This application did go to P&Z on September 27th and was recommended for approval. The project location is a 118.5 acre parcel located south of Highway 2026 between Middleton Road and Midland Boulevard. Site has frontage along 2026 Santa Ana Avenue, Tomes Street, I'm going to say, it has 2 M's, and Skyway Street. The application before you tonight, again, just to be clear, is a comprehensive plan map amendment to change the blue area here, the northern 39 acres from low density to highway corridor, a rezone of that 39 acres from R1 to highway corridor, and a mixed PUD for the entire 118.5 acres, and a preliminary plat for also that area. The preliminary plat PUD would be the red boundary, the rezone comp plan would be just for the blue area. The project site is currently surrounded by single-family residential and some commercial. The development to the west of Valencia Village has been approved to include commercial along Highway 2026 and residential to mirror this development plan. That project did come through with the intention of this following behind. In 2006, the site was annexed into the city with a zoning designation of low-density residential. There was no original plan associated with these annexations, so no original plat or development plan. In 2022, Valencia Village, a PUD to the west, was approved. This development would connect and serve that development, as was the original intention. Based on what is being proposed, there will be a compatible zoning and uses between the two developments. The request consists of a proposal to rezone, as noted, the northern 39 acres of the site from R1 to highway corridor zoning, while the rest of the site is proposed to remain R1. The proposed comp plan map amendment correlates to this zoning request to change just that 39 acres. The purpose of the highway corridor zone is to create, preserve, and enhance key areas along the highway corridor, which are highly visible or transitional in nature, by developing and maintaining and expanding highway-oriented commercial uses, limited light industrial, educational uses, offices, and some high-density residential. The proposed project is surrounded by highway corridor to the west, R2 to the east, some R2 to the east, medium-density residential to the south. I apologize, I read that completely wrong. Highway corridor to the west, R2 medium to the south, county zoning to the east, and county zoning to the north, on the north side of Highway 2026. As noted, the proposed comp plan map amendment is just for that 39 acres as well, the northern end of the project. The remainder of the project area is proposed with no changes and will remain as medium and low density residential. Staff finds that this is consistent with the intent of the comprehensive plan. Further, the proposed residential density, which is 5.37 units per acre, is compliant with the comprehensive plan and the use of a PUD, which allows up to 6 units per acre for the overall project. This development consists of Plan west is actually north, just to make this clear for everybody, since it won't fit the other way. It does consist of 240 detached single-family lots, 9 commercial lots, which are located along Highway 2026, and 1 multifamily lot consisting of 192 apartment units. Through the PUD, the applicant has proposed some dimensional standard deviation requests as follows: an internal side yard setback of 5 feet instead of 6 feet, a reduced street frontage requirement for some of the lots to be less than 50 feet wide, which is part of the R1 requirement, the existing zoning, and a 40-foot height limit for the multifamily development, because that would be located in the R1 zone, which currently 25 feet is that height limit. Besides the noted deviation request, the proposed development has been analyzed for compliance with all the other city codes and policies, and staff does find that it is consistent with those requirements. Public agencies are notified and asked to provide comments. ITD and Compass were the 2 main respondents. Compass is asking that traffic calming measures be considered to discourage speeding, which is obviously logical and always wanted. ITD is requesting to work and coordinate with them on Highway 2026 as well as Santa Ana Avenue. There was a specific ITD memo sent late last month that described more specifics, and if you guys have any questions, I would point you to Mr. McDonald on those. Economic Development has voiced their support for the project due to the diversity of housing options proposed, as well as the proposed commercial component, which can help fill in some retail gaps. 1 public comment was submitted, and it was in support of the project by Mr. John Bottles. They noted that their real estate firm and brokerage firm had received inquiries in this area, period, regarding commercial properties for both large and small-scale retailers. These are the site-specific conditions. I would like to add that there was a condition added by the P&Z Commission to work with engineering and ITD on the Highway 2026 timeline, I'm assuming the widening. It was removed subsequent to those conversations that did occur, and then the late ITD memo that reflected those conversations. Staff does recommend that if council approves this request, that it be subject to the findings as in your packet. P&Z did recommend approval of these requests, and that they also be subject to the findings. It's just, I think, an open space exhibit of the project showing the proposed open space. And I will stand for any questions you may have.
Good. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Questions from council. Councilor Williams.
Mr. Mayor, thank you. I'd like to say, first of all, thank you for standing up to the lectern and speaking. Really appreciate you being there. It's easy to hear you, and it's a good place to be. So thank you for that effort.
Thank you.
In reviewing the packet, and again, this isn't a gotcha, I just want to be sure we're on the record with this. This was annexed several years ago. It was brought forward for a PUD that was denied, and they were asked to go back with staff and come back with a mixed-use proposal, if I'm reading my packet right. And so I just want to be sure we're clear that this is actually what we've asked for in the past, what you're presenting to us tonight. Is that fair to say?
Councilor Williams, from my understanding, that is correct, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any other, yes, Councilor Doty.
I just heard you mention one time that there was a road that isn't going to be 50 feet wide, and did I mishear what you said there? I just want to be sure, police and fire, you mentioned ITD, but if we're going to be, and I don't know if that's what you said, that's why I want clarification. Did you say
Yes,
that some of the roads are not going to be as wide as?
Oh, the 50, sorry. Yes, sir. So one of their requests is that the frontage, so the actual lot width, is not going to meet the 50-foot of the R1 zoning district. It's nothing to do with the road width. No, nothing,
So
just...
police and fire are good with their access into there?
Correct, yeah, I haven't had any issues. There was the one condition regarding secondary access for Phase 6, as noted in the first bullet point, but that's just that they'll work with fire to get that settled with the phasing, but no reducing of road widths, no.
All right, thank you for clarifying that.
Absolutely.
Any other questions for staff at this time? Yes, Councilor Allgood.
Can you go back to the plat map where it shows the highway, so on the commercial lots, and maybe the presenter can cover this as well, we don't have anything coming right out onto 2026, is that correct, or we do? Are there driveways that are gonna be coming out onto 2026, or is everything gonna be Middleton and Midland?
Councilor, Santa Ana Public Road would be the direct connection. As shown on the plan, they don't have any driveways shown. I'll let the applicant speak to that more, but typically in my experience, they're gonna have to get a driveway permit through ITD, and with offset requirements, I would say it's unlikely.
That's what I was concerned about, thank you. I appreciate
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah. Any other questions at this time? Okay, thank you so much, really appreciate it. Okay, we, again, have only one person signed up to testify in this item. And you signed up on the on the right page. Congratulations, Bonnie, so good job. So Bonnie Layton, if you don't mind just stating your name and address for the record, and then the time is yours for your presentation.
Great, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor Wagner, members of the council. My name is Bonnie Layton. I'm with NV5 representing the project this evening. My address is 690 South Industry Way, Suite 10, Meridian, Idaho, 83642. And thank you again for your time this evening. I think Joe did a great job standing in, especially new on the job here, and there is quite some history with this. And pleased to be here tonight to present what I think is going to be a very great addition to the city of Caldwell. And so on behalf of Trilogy Development and Viber Investments, I'm here tonight to request the approval of Escalon Park, our mixed-use planned unit development. Let's see, getting that right? There we go. So as Joe mentioned, Escalon Park is 118.5 acres in size. It's located on the south side of Highway 2026. You can see in the image on the right-hand side of the screen there, the parcel. We're surrounded by city limits on three sides. We've got Middleton Road to our west, Midland to our east, Mason Creek runs along our western boundary, and the Madden Spur Drain also runs through our site. The Madden Spur Drain actually provides a nice transition and buffer between the commercial portion of the site and the residential. Let's see. So the future land use map designation, I think Joe did a great job of covering this. As he mentioned, the property was originally annexed in 2006. Back when the last comprehensive plan map amendment was made, I don't know why this didn't get designated as highway corridor. We've got Santa Ana Avenue on our eastern boundary, kind of on the north portion of our site, which will be a main north-south collector that will also have a traffic light. We've got highway corridor on either side, highway corridor on the north, and as you heard previously, this project had come through, and we were turned back and requested to add some commercial. The only way that we could actually add the commercial is to update the zoning, which also meant updating the future land use map. So we're just tying up some loose ends in that request, just to make sure that we're following the comprehensive plan accordingly. Let's see here. So a quick vicinity map, just to give you some idea of where we actually sit in relation to other assets within the city. So we are just 2.5 miles from the Franklin Road interchange. Of course, we've got North Ranch Business Park, Highway 2026, which is being redeveloped or expanded, and Summit View Middle School is nearby as well, just east of North Ranch. A lot that's going on in the area in terms of job creation, as well as transportation corridors and residential development. Last time around, we heard, and I think we heard this also with the development or the approval of Valencia Village, is really providing some opportunity for commercial and retail in this area for the residents in this area, potentially a grocery store and some services out in this area. So that is what we are trying to provide. So the site plan, as you will see, as Joe had on his slide too, we've rotated this, so north is to the left. Highway 2026 is expanding at the moment. We did receive and review the letter from ITD, and we are in agreement with their comments. Should we gain approval tonight from you folks, we will immediately begin coordinating with ITD on the traffic signal. We realize that we're going to be required to make those improvements, and so we want to make sure we're coordinating with them now so that we're not tearing up stuff that was just built. Their timeline, we reached out to ITD. It looks like they will be completing this section of the expansion of Highway 2026 in late 2024. And that will be ahead of the timing of our development. So we just want to make sure that we're coordinating with them. So the specific details, as Joe mentioned, we have 432 dwelling units. We're at 5.37 dwelling units per acre, which is under the 6 dwelling units per acre that is allowed per the PUD code for this project. Additionally, we have 39.39 acres of commercial. There's 9 commercial lots. No access will be taken directly off of Highway 2026. We will come in off of Santa Ana and then down into the project, or come in off of Middleton through Valencia. So we won't have any direct access. We have 21 alley-loaded lots, 102 36-foot wide patio home lots. As part of the planned unit development, that was one of our requests for the dimensional standards to be reduced. That's what a PUD is for, to give you some latitude in order to provide different product types of housing. And then we have 117 standard lots. Let's see, I mentioned that Mason Creek, you can kind of see the green space that's between the commercial and our multifamily site will provide a nice buffer, along with a road that will connect Santa Ana into Valencia. We exceed the 10% minimum open space requirement for a PUD, and also, just as a reminder, that's qualified open space. All of the irrigation easements, and we have a very significant portion of our site that's part of irrigation easements. It's open space, but it's not qualified open space. It'll look like open space, feel like open space. We believe that we meet the standards for a planned unit development, in that we offer a maximum choice of living environments. So we have some multifamily, some narrower lots, and some standard lots. We have a mixed-use component, so we have the commercial on the north end of our site. We preserve and properly use the natural features of the site, and also we have somewhat of a unique boundary to this project. Uh-oh. That's it. Not sure what I did there. Okay, thank you. So this slide will show you the phasing plan, as Joe had touched on as well. So Valencia Village is the first, was approved last year, and that's, we are in the process of working with the city to create the improvements along Middleton and Skyway, and I believe Rob could speak more to that if need be. In working with the city staff, what they identified is making sure that there was adequate access early on. So from Valencia Village, at the southern boundary, is Skyway will run from Middleton to the edge of our site. And so what you'll notice is the purple Skyway and all the way up to Santa Ana will be the first phase of this project. So we will be developing pretty significant roadway infrastructure as part of the first phase. And then we'll start kind of in the center of the project and work our way out. And just timing-wise with Valencia, we're looking at a horizontal build, just the dirt, in the fall of 2024. And the next phase in 2025 and ultimately 2026. So that'll be a 3-year build-out. Escalon Park, should we be successful this evening, we're anticipating starting horizontal construction on that in late 2026, early 2027. So by that time, ITD's widening will be done. There will be plenty of opportunity for traffic to be able to route off of Highway 2026 and have sort of backage roads and connections into Valencia Village. Here we go. So this is what the two projects will look like together, just for your reference. As Joe mentioned, we've got commercial out on Valencia Village, and we're kind of mirroring that. Same with the multifamily, and then transitioning into housing. Of course, on our very southern and eastern portions are the standard lots. There was quite a bit of discussion at the planning and zoning hearing about access into our 6th phase. And if I go back there, so it's kind of the salmon or peach color, I guess. We worked with the fire department, and we understand that fire code dictates that we have a second access after so many lots, which right now we have one access point into that area. So we have agreed that we either, when we go to build phase 6, we either have to have a secondary access, or those residences will have to have fire suppression system built into them. We believe that there's enough development going on out there, and by the time we get out there, it's likely that there will be a secondary access already built. But we are in agreement with staff's recommendation or condition that should we build and only have one access, that we would either have to delay until there's a second access or, do the fire suppression. Let's see. That's how the two projects coordinate together. The single-family residential lots, these are images of the homes that we build. We build them all over the Treasure Valley. As noted, we requested that it's a 5-foot side yard setback. You've heard me make that request before for this developer. They have found that clients prefer the space in their backyard and not in the side yard. Of course, we comply with fire codes and standards for those setbacks. Here's some more images of the single-family residential lots. The 36-foot wide lots, again, there's quite a lot of plans that we can build on those lots, and it really serves a market where folks maybe aren't looking for a large lot and a lot of maintenance, but still want a very comfortable, livable home. We have some alley-loaded lots in our project as well. These are images of what those will look like. Again, you can see the quality of the architectural detail and the variation in the elevations. This is what we plan to build in this community as we've built throughout the Treasure Valley. The multifamily units, so these are south of our commercial area. We have also constructed these types of units throughout the Treasure Valley. These are the elevations for those units. And I guess with that, I would just like to thank you for your time this evening, and want to thank staff for all of their hard work. And just want to say that we are in agreement with the conditions of approval that were outlined from planning and zoning, and the conditions from staff, and request your approval this evening, and I'll stand for any questions.
Good, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Counselor
Mayor.
Stoddard, yes.
Hi.
On the 36-foot wide lots, are there going to be kind of a separate deal on part of that subdivision, or is it going to be incorporated into the regular subdivision itself? Understand what I mean?
Mayor Wagner, Councilman Stoddard, so they are actually south of the multifamily, so we're transitioning from commercial to higher density to lower density to the lowest density.
Okay, so they'll be separate then?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Okay. Counselor Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Couple of questions for you, real briefly. What phase again is the commercial part of this?
Mayor Wagner, Councilman Williams, this was a question that came up in the planning and zoning as well. I'm going to get there here real quick. Currently, we're showing that as the last phase. However, should there be, can you please scroll that? Thank you. Should there be a demand to bring that commercial online sooner, we would be able to do that because we have the roadway and the infrastructure in place. So typically, commercial follows rooftops, but if a big box wanted to locate there, or a grocery store, we would move that up, of course.
Okay, and that answers my question. I think it is important that we remain open to that because there is a need for amenities, especially in that order as we move people out there. There's just so far they have to go, and I would be glad to see that commercial filled. And then you may have heard me say this before, make it look nice. It's on our corridor, so I hope that our intention there, even though it's commercial, is to give us an aspect that's going to be gateway for us, right?
Yes, Mayor Wagner, Councilman Williams, we are required to have a fairly substantial landscape buffer as part of that, and of course, we would develop the commercial. We too think it's a gateway to our project, and would work accordingly to make that a good-looking entryway into the city.
Thank you.
Yep.
Other questions? Counselor Doty, yes.
First of all, I appreciate the commercial, and you bringing that up, because I do live out there, Santa Ana and Ustick, and we have nothing, almost nothing out there.
I agree.
I know where you live too, but I won't say it. So I would be open for that too, that if something comes up before phase 6, if this gets passed, that you certainly entertain that. And then just one more, I just want to make sure staff understands what was repeated about the fire suppression or the two entry points, and that you are under the same understanding that that is how it's written and what you expect in the agreement.
Counselor, that is correct. It's already written in the staff report as such.
I just want to make sure you have the same understanding as the presenter here.
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, other questions? Yes,
Mr.
Counselor Register.
Just a couple of quick questions. On the map, the one map where we had, it's not that one, I don't remember. No, it was on like the highway corridor map with the tan, right there. All those tan type colors, are those already zoned highway corridors, so that just that one is not? Okay. And then, you kind of answered this, but he had mentioned that there might have already been some, somebody approaching about the commercial part of it. Do you have any kind of idea what might go in there, or is it still just kind of a guess?
Mayor Wagner, Councilman Register, yes, we have actually been working with economic development, and in developing this plan as well as Valencia Village, and also commercial brokers, we are, I can't commit to anything, but we're actively recruiting businesses to come out in this area.
Did I hear you say maybe a grocery store?
That is on the list of uses that we'd like to see out there, and that's why we have That's one of the reasons why we have kind of designed the commercial area the way that we have, so we could have something like that.
So you have something large enough to accommodate
Yes.
if something like that came.
That is
And then,
correct.
is this Valley View?
I believe it is, yes.
Did they send anything in? I didn't see anything in the packet, a letter or anything either way. Okay. And then I guess my question, about developing the commercial first, and I feel like we've talked about this before, and I think I've heard Councilor Allgood say before, is that doesn't the street have to be developed first? Or the landscaping, or wasn't there something about, like maybe we were talking about phases one time and that the street side had to be developed first am I wrong? I could be totally wrong, I just.
There's always discussion about when it's spaced out like this, that the amenities they propose come with first or second phase, and not waiting for phase 7.
But we don't have that in an ordinance or a rule or anything like that?
No.
Okay. Okay, because I'm also in favor of doing the commercial part of it first, or at least with the first phase. I personally think it'd be easier to sell them if you have something out, the commercial done first anyway, because there's nothing out there, right? So, just my thought. I know, that's why we stay on the other side of the city.
And any other questions from council? Yes, Councilor Allgood.
Yeah, I have a hard time keeping track of what ITD's plans are. So for that far out, are we talking about a traffic signal at Santa Ana and one at Midland? Or what does that look like in your understanding?
Mayor Wagner, Councilman Allgood, I do know that it calls for a traffic signal at Santa Ana. They will build they will widen Highway 2026, and Rob can probably speak to this better than I can. What we want to do is coordinate with ITD immediately, so that if there's conduit or something that needs to be placed now, that we can do that instead of tearing stuff up. I'm not sure.
Mr. Mayor, Councilman Allgood, the ITD's plan is that if it's in an urban area, you can have a traffic signal every half mile. And so the plan on 2026 is to have one every half mile until Midland. And then heading east from Midland, they would be every mile at this point. And so that's generally what the plan is. The traffic signal at the mile streets like Midland, Middleton, I think it's KCID. Those are planned to be built and installed as part of this development project that ITD is doing. The half-mile streets like Santa Ana will not be installed immediately. They will be installed later as they are warranted.
And that's outlined in our traffic impact
Correct.
study.
And follow up on
Yeah.
that.
Mm-hmm.
So, do they have a rough date on the Midland traffic signal that you're aware of?
What I can tell you is that ITD is working on the project right now that is between the interstate and Middleton. The second project that they are about to start is from Middleton all the way to Star Road, and that project is supposed to kick off in late 2024, is what I've been told. And that's, I think that's a 6-mile stretch. It's either 4 miles or 6 miles, and so it's a fairly large project. And somewhere during the course of that project, the Midland traffic light will be installed.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so as mentioned, Bonnie is the only one signed up, so we will be closing public testimony. So if this is your last chance at the apple to ask her a question if you so desire. Okay, very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
Okay, with that, I'd send for a motion to close the public testimony portion of this hearing.
So moved.
And a
Second.
motion from Councilor Stoddard and a second from Councilor Doty to close the public testimony portion of this hearing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. So that moves us into council's consideration, deliberation, and any motions and any questions for staff as well in regards to this proposal.
Mayor,
Councilor Williams.
I have a question for our attorney. I just wanted to know if you're paying attention. We haven't heard from you tonight, so are you here? Just checking. Okay. Hi, Doug.
Yes, if you can't tell, I'm not particularly disappointed you're not asking me questions. I assume
want
it's
you to be
because...
bored, because normally you're like all wrapped up in these things, and we haven't needed you yet, so.
a product of the excellent education we've provided you over the course of the last many years, so.
On a serious note, Mr. Mayor, I was, kind of amused at the shape of this project. It was described as a Y in our packet. It looks like a Joshua tree. It's a cactus plant, you know. It's a really difficult parcel to develop, and given the fact that history brought them back to us with this desire for mixed use, I'm kind of happy to see what they're proposing, because it meets the needs and fulfills those obligations that they had been asked. Do you know how long ago? I didn't notice the date, but it was apparently years ago, and they were told, work on this and come back. And so I'm looking at this and thinking, as a developer, this would be a nightmare, especially with all those waterways and the canals and whatnot in there. It just creates some obstacles for developing. And so I'm intrigued and appreciate the work that's been done on it by staff with this developer, especially to get us to this point.
Okay. Thank you. Any other comments, discussion, questions, or motions?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Councilor Doty.
I'll make a motion. We're on number 2 here, aren't we, on this? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Based upon, is my microphone on? Based upon the testimony and evidence and record in the matter, and upon the findings of fact and conclusions of law, I move that CPM 23-4 for a comprehensive plan map amendment from medium-density residential to highway corridor to include Resolution 97-23, a zoning map amendment from medium-density residential to highway corridor for parcel R3430901-200, a planned unit development application and preliminary plat application for Escalon Park, did I say that right? Mixed-use subdivision be approved, and subject to the conditions as presented.
Okay, very good. So we have a motion, Councilor Doty, for approval of the request with the conditions as outlined in the staff report. Do we have a second?
Second.
So a motion from Councilor Doty and a second from Councilor Stodic. Again, this is for approval of the request with the conditions as outlined in the staff report. Is there any discussion on that motion? Okay. With that, then voting is now open. All votes are cast, the voting is closed, and that motion does pass unanimously. Stand for a motion to close this public hearing item.
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Motion from Councilor Stodic and a second from Councilor Register. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And that motion passes. Okay, that moves us on to number 8, if I'm not mistaken. And actually, if Mr. McDonald, were you going to present on these briefly? If you want to, you can present on 8 and 9 at the same time. How's that sound?
10, 10, and 11.
Just do it all. 8 through 18. It's all you, Rob.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and council. These are housekeeping items. As you know, item number 8, item number 9. Item number 8 and 9 are regarding annexation into Caldwell Municipal Irrigation District. And so whenever a subdivision is built in the city of Caldwell, they are required to build an irrigation system and then dedicate that to the city. And then they are also annexed into the irrigation district so that the city can then start to build them for the irrigation system. And we do these very routinely, but it never hurts for me to get up and just explain this every once in a while just to make sure that I can answer any questions that may come up. Item number 10, I apologize, I'm kind of running through. That's item number 8 and 9. I don't know if you want to go to that point, and then I can stand back up and speak to anything else if you'd like.
Yes, we're just going to go through those. So any questions for Mr. McDonald regarding, again, this is mostly just housekeeping, bringing these properties, annexing them into the municipal irrigation district that the city maintains and controls. So any questions for Mr. McDonald on that? Okay, very good. So then we'll go ahead and, I know sometimes we put these together, but since there's only 2, maybe we'll just tackle them individually. So with that, we have bill number 54, ordinance number 3548. Do we have any motions or anybody willing to sponsor that bill and ordinance?
Mr. Mayor.
Councilor Doty.
I'll sponsor bill number 54, ordinance number 3548, instrument number 2023-030310, a request to move for its passage by title only.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion from Counselor Doty and a second from Counselor Allgood. Again, for approval, sponsorship of bill number 54, ordinance number 3548. Is there any discussion on that motion? Okay, with that, voting is open. And all votes are cast. The voting is closed, and that passes unanimously. So action item number 9, as mentioned, is pretty much identical, just for a different subdivision, annexing that subdivision into the Caldwell Municipal Irrigation District, owned and controlled by the City of Caldwell. Do we have a sponsor of this bill and ordinance?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilor Allgood.
I'll sponsor bill number 55, ordinance number 3549, and move for its passage by title only.
Do we have a second? We have a motion from Councilor Allgood and a second from Councilor Williams for approval of sponsorship of bill number 55, ordinance number 3549. Do we have any discussion on that motion? Okay, with that, voting is open. Wow, you guys almost had your votes in before that even popped up. I'm impressed. So that passes unanimously as well. Okay, now we get to number 10. So this is been removed, so that was quick and easy. So that's gone. To number 11 then. So this is basically just setting a hearing date. This is in regards to the downtown Caldwell parking. There was an open house last night. Great feedback was brought in after that. I was able to meet with Steve Jenkins today to review that. So you do have a preliminary proposal on the proposed fees, things of that nature. So tonight is setting the hearing date of 2 weeks from tonight, where we will take testimony at that time and hear from the public. But again, we are able to rework that, take those comments into consideration, make some changes that was proposed to you, mostly reducing the fee on Saturdays, also the timing of what was going to be charged, days, times, things like that. Took all those into consideration and made some changes following the input from the public. So,
Mr. Mayor, do you know when we'll get that versus, can we get it before
So
the
I think
agenda
we-
comes out?
So it was sent out today. You probably
Oh,
didn't.
I didn't get
on
it.
that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Fair enough.
So I don't know if we have a copy.
Maybe tomorrow?
We're still considering.
Maybe even
It's actually
tonight.
on the website as well.
Yeah.
Okay,
It
great.
was posted with you in the packet today.
Yep. So kind of details the hourly rate, the holidays, things like that. So sorry, didn't mean to steal any of your thunder, Doug. If you want to finish what I didn't.
Sure, thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to I'm not positive. I'm assuming item 10 was pulled, maybe for some additional tweaks. I'm not positive on that. Okay.
So that'll come back in 2 weeks as well.
Okay, very good. So of course, item 10 is was the ordinance, will be the ordinance that codifies in the city code the city's approach to downtown parking. And part of that codification will be the codification of the adoption of fees and penalties through resolution. So anyway, I know there was a concern about the monetary amount in there for parking in a ADA spot and things like that. So I'm sure that will come back in its final form in a couple weeks. The only additional comment I have to make beyond that for item 11 is in part related to item 12. Item 12 is a number of animal control fees and increases for those fees. Included in those were a number of, I think there were 5 fees related to parking. Overtime parking, no parking zone, blocking mailbox, handicap parking, other violation, the current 23 fees and the 24 fees. And then, of course, Exhibit A to action item 11 is the proposed fees for the resolution specifically on parking. So we will make sure that the parking fees from action item 12 are pulled into Exhibit A of action item 11. So when we have the hearing on that all the parking fees are addressed at the parking fee hearing, and the animal control fees can be addressed at the animal control fee hearing. So anyway, if there was confusion about that, I wanted to clarify it, and that Exhibit A will be updated before, assuming that council wishes to move forward with those hearings, it will be updated before the notices go out for those hearings to make sure that the newspaper notices match what's going to be accomplished 2 weeks from now.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So again, this is what this is in effect, is setting the public hearing date for 2 weeks from tonight. For this, again, for number 11 is for the discussion of the downtown Caldwell parking provisions on that. So your motion is simply approving us to allow that to happen on Tuesday, November 21st, and send those notices out as required by law. Do we have any motions to approve that for that notification?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
so if I understand this right, we would approve 11 and 12 basically together. They're basically addressing very similar things.
They are, correct. Yep, one's for the parking and the other's for the event center and police, but again, just setting the hearing date for 2 weeks from tonight.
Mr. Mayor, I move that action items number 11 and 12 be set to be heard on November 21st, 2023, 6 p.m. in these chambers.
Very good. So we have a motion for, again, for accepting the notice of public hearing for those two items for Tuesday, November 21st at 6 p.m. in this room. Do we have a second?
Okay.
We have a motion from Councilor Allgood and a second from Councilor Doty. Any discussion on that motion? Okay. With that, all those that are in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes. So that'll be, again, 2 weeks from tonight. We'll have a discussion, testimony on those items, with the decision to be made at council at that time. That moves us into action item number 13, to consider acceptance of the finance report.
That would be me.
Councilor Register.
Yes, 1 second. Okay. I move that accounts payable in the amount of $7,254,223.01 represented by check numbers 173032 through 173693 and payroll for the amount of $1,308,535.33 represented by check numbers 39056 through 39180, and direct deposits be accepted, payments approved, and vouchers filed in the office of the city clerk.
Very good. Do we have a second? Second. Motion from Councilor Register, second from Councilor Williams for consideration of the acceptance of the finance report. Any discussion on that motion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion passes. That moves us into number 14. This is not an action item. This is an update report. I appreciate Councilor Allgood kind of bringing us to light, and I'll kind of touch on it, and then we'll turn it over to Mr. Waterman, and then also Councilor Allgood can jump in too as well on it. So this is, again, just an update report regarding the Union Pacific lease agreement for parcels located in downtown Caldwell. Was kind of in reviewing that, brought to light. So what that is those number of parking stalls along the railroad is actually railroad right-of-way that the city leases from Union Pacific in regards to that. And so a couple of concerns or questions that come up is, can we, within that agreement, there's stipulations what the city can and cannot do. One of those questions that was brought up is, can we charge for those? Can we basically make money off of the railroad right-of-way? And kind of in consultation with our attorney's office, with Mr. Hilty, kind of was decided that you probably should not be charging for those. And it actually worked out because the public wanted more free parking. So we decided just to keep it clean and simple, all the parking along the railroad free of charge. So that includes, and you saw that in the map that was approved a couple weeks ago. So all the parking north, I consider it north, on the backside of like Indian Creek Steakhouse, all of those is proposed as free parking without any charges on that. And that's to help keep us clean, provide more free parking for downtown, then also keep us clean in regards to that lease on that. But that was kind of was that. And also, question did come up, appreciate Councilor Allgood saying, well, if we are, because a portion of that is what's dedicated for Tillian, for those apartments. And so what there was a concern is that going to conflict with the lease if we're not charging, but allow or providing, say, this is, permit parking for these individuals in this area. So we brought that up to Mr. Hilty, and he felt that since you're not charging for it, it still is in harmony, or whatever the better word is for that, with the lease that we have with them. So we just wanted to bring this as a update report and for Doug to touch on that, and then also Councilor, I'll get any comments or additional information you have.
Mayor, Council, Mayor, you covered the vast majority of it, which is great, and thank you for that. The primary, point would be that in reviewing having reviewed the parking agreement, the lease agreement with Union Pacific, the issuance of parking permits for the Creekside project don't rise to the level of being an assignment or a sublease or something like that. And so appear to be appropriate under the lease. The lease is a year-to-year lease. It has a 30-day option to terminate with or without cause, and so that's the world we live in with those parking spaces. It's also worth noting that the parking agreement with Tilly and with that Creekside project acknowledge the fact that those spaces there are subject to that lease agreement, and that the permissibility of having them assigned as assigned parking for that project is contingent on the ongoing on that lease persisting. In the event that it ceases to persist, then we would have to find a different location where those permit parking places could live. So the primary point of that narrative is to say that the Tillian project and city went into that with their eyes open as to what the nature of those parking spaces was.
Excellent. Councilor Allgood, anything additional?
Yeah, when we were having this discussion before, I don't know why it slipped my mind that we were under lease with Union Pacific, and Mr. McDonald might remember, is it $4,000 or $6,000 a year that we pay for that lease? Remember? For that section?
Debbie says 6.
I believe it's 6.
I always like to say the lower number, but I think it was the higher number.
But with
Yeah.
a 3% annual increase, so there is a cost to the city. And then the other thing that concerned me about this, and and speaking with the mayor, I just want everybody to be on the same page, is that if for some reason Union Pacific needed that space, and we're making a resolution to give Tillium 105 spaces, we lose that space, we've got to find 105 spaces downtown for Tillium, which is a difficult situation for us to be in. So anyway, I'm not suggesting any action other than I just wanted to make the council aware of where we're at.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that. I think that's important information, and so it's good for everybody to be aware of that. And it sounds like Tillian is aware of it also, which I think is important on that. So again, it's not an action item, just an updated report. So if you do have any questions or anything like that, you're free to ask them now, or you can always get in touch with Doug in his office at any time too, if you have any additional questions on that. So, okay, awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Okay, that moves us into council reports. Councilor Register.
I don't have anything other than just thanking you all for allowing the time for the chief to talk about Chad, and the audience also for your patience. I think it's really important to continue to bring awareness to pancreatic cancer, not just because he died from it, but because people do die from it. And I think it's super important to know that, if you take 10 people who are diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, in 5 years, 9 of those people will be gone. And nothing has changed in over 40 years. So not treatments, not numbers, except it's getting worse. So I appreciate you taking the time, and of course, the whole presentation for Chad himself, his family, have all said how thankful they are as well.
Yeah, no, it was great. I did not know that the family members are going to be here, so that was extra special. So, yeah, no, it was awesome. Councilor Stoddard.
Mr. Mayor, just to remind everybody, this Saturday is Veterans Day, and there will be a ceremony at the Veterans Hall in Cleveland, so hope to see you folks there. The week after that, on Saturday, the 18th, there'll be a crappie fry, sponsored by yours truly. We have well over 500 fillets to fry, so there'll be plenty. The hours for that is 11 to 2 p.m. in the afternoon, so if you want to come over for a good lunch, come on over. Regarding some of the different veterans groups, when I left in, I think it was 2020 or 2019, we had a pretty good cohesive group, and in between now, or that time and now, somehow they split apart. I'm sure there's a lot of personalities involved with that, but anyway, we're making pretty good progress. VFW has come back. American Legion probably won't, because it's a dying organization. They just don't have enough people. And a lot of the World War II veterans, are passing, and it's just not working out too well. And we did pick up the Marine Reserve Veterans Group, so that's a good thing. So anyway, we're getting things back together, and I'm glad to see that. So anyway, that's all I have.
No, that's great. Thank you. Councilor Doty.
I have a few things, believe it or not. So, but if we can go through them fairly quickly. But first, I'd just like to thank our city employees with the elections approaching and now done. There's a lot of turmoil out there, especially on social media, so I just appreciate all their hard work and dedication to the city and just keep plowing right through all those negative comments. So I just wanted to thank them for their service to the city. We had talked about a road closure list at one time and whether or not we could get that. And if that's possible, I clearly don't have city email till tomorrow, it sounds like. So, is there a road closure list, projected dates they'll be finished and where they're at? In previous conversations, it wouldn't take too much because someone already has kind of a list, so.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, Councilman, I can tell you, we have a staff member now that is dedicated to right-of-way permits and road closures, and she has done an excellent job. And I will note that since she has started over the last couple of years, our revenue just in road closures and right-of-way permits is up about $100,000. It's made a huge difference to have someone tracking that. Let me talk to her tomorrow. And I'm confident that she has a report that she could probably pretty easily put together or make something accessible to be able to review.
And Counselor McGee, if you're listening, she is a Caldwell High alum, just so you know.
Oh, I heard you, Mayor.
Right, also in the last budget year, I think we have an ordinance review and just an update on where we're at with the ordinance review, if anyone knows.
For the, like the
They were
zoning
doing the
ordinance,
whole
or?
city ordinance, weren't they?
Oh.
Is that under yours, Debbie, an audit
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
for codifications of this,
in January?
will
Okay,
start in January, yes.
all right. Also with our, depending on what happens tonight, but certainly I'd like us to take a look at our, talked with Ray Lynn about this, about our taxing district percentages, just to make sure with the Association of Cities that we're on track there, that we have the money for the taxing districts allotted in the way that experts would recommend that it is going, so that if we need to change some of those percentages, we certainly should take a look at that. Where are we at on Albany Street?
You want to give an update? So that'd be the sewer.
Trying to.
Yeah, it's not something I can just put together in a quick little update. Maybe I'll have Mr. Waterman speak to that. He may be able to summarize that better than me.
Mayor, Councilman Doty, I want to be a little careful about what is said, but we had a meeting with the surety company, their local consultant, their regional consultant out of, I believe it's Arizona, as well as their legal counsel. This occurred at the end of last week. It took a while to coordinate that and get them. They had also a representative from the surety. They had to fly in for that meeting. That meeting was, I thought, productive. Staff is currently working. I have seen emails exchanged in the last couple of days on charting a path out of that. And if there's more detail I can provide, I'm happy to provide it in a more private context, just to make sure that I'm respecting the context that of that back and forth. So anyway, happy to follow up with you after the meeting, but that'd be about all I'd be willing to comfortably say in this setting.
That's fine. Mr. Mayor just advised me of some of the issues with that. However, I would like to know, is it still a muddy mess out there, or have we provided?
On the Albany Street, so we went out and graded it, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. McDonald. So this would be on Albany, there between like 13th and 16th Avenue. I think we went out and graded all that, made it drivable.
It was graded initially, and then just recently I've asked the street department to continue to monitor the condition out there and to make sure it's clearly not going to be paved before winter, and so I've chartered them to make sure that it is maintained throughout the course of the winter, so that the residents there don't have any trouble getting around, or
That's kind of what
doesn't make too much of a mess.
Be great. Only 25 more to go, so we'll be done here soon. And I just want to make it public, because we've talked about it and it has been mentioned publicly, but the Amano parking lot, in which the city still owns, sounds like it will be parking stalls prior to the 17th, correct? And then where are we at on the pay evaluation some of this may have been discussed because I've been gone for a month, so on the pay evaluation information.
The comp and wage study?
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
There'll be a workshop December 5th, but it is in process. Shelley and I are currently reviewing the data from them, and we're working through some data with them back and forth, but we'll have an update for City Council on December 5th.
All right, thank you. And then is there any update on the hotel going in the TVCC parking lot?
So I know that they've had discussions, this last week. So I believe it was our attorneys, Steve Jenkins, and their side of it as well. So, I don't have any definitive, but I know that they've had meetings and discussions this last week.
Okay.
Mhm.
Just gonna keep going really quick. Just a quick update on the pool.
So going good. We actually had a good update this week. Julie McCoy, our Parks and Rec director, sent that out. So what I can do is I can forward that to you as well. So it shows kind of pictures where they're at. So had a little bit of a delay. They had to wait for someone to come in and cap that, artesian well that I think was in there, but that's done. So they've actually made some really great progress. So I'll send that update. I'll send that to all the council, so you all have that. So
You can see where this is gonna go. Any movement on the train whistle?
only heard one tonight, I think, so.
So you've done, it's already going, huh?
So, well, we've got the proposal in. I don't know, if Rob, if you've had any updates on that. I know that we got that in from, and they were gonna adjust it, I think, to take out one of the crossings that we've closed that they included in that. So we're close to finalizing that contract to begin that study.
Yeah, the only hiccup we ran into was the value of the proposal and whether we have to solicit 3 bids now because it's more than we expected. But we are pursuing that to try to get something finalized and have a good understanding of what it will take, from a cost standpoint and timing to be able to get that completed.
I have had some preliminary discussions, with Canyon County as well to see if they would, help with, because we have the 12th Avenue, which obviously affects them. And again, haven't talked to the commissioners, but just some of the staff over there. There seems to be some interest for them to help, to pay for a portion of whatever the 12th Avenue cost would be. So it'd be nice to get some cost sharing there. Looks like, I think that's a good possibility.
Great. And then were we gonna put some lights out in at the ballpark, wasn't it? We had put in like 4 or 2 and we.
At Gals Quad.
At Gals Quad.
Yep, so I know we had that bid come in on that, so, I can follow up with that with Julie as well, our Parks and Rec director. So I've met with, his name just slipped my mind, the gentleman, Don Atkinson, that's been doing that forever. So we just met a couple weeks ago. He brought in those bids, and so those have gone on to our, purchasing agent to see if we do have the same deal. And Ray Lincoln, I guess, chime into that if we need to take that out to bid due to the cost on it. So I know he's been working with Musco, who does a lot of the lighting across the country for things like that. So, looking at if we do need to take that to bid or not, just because of the cost. But we do have that cost estimate from them and moving forward in that direction.
Yeah, and I don't know if an action items list would be nice to have, on the website or something, is, whoever's responsible for it and where the update is with that, so we don't have to come back every time we're at council and say, okay, well, what happened in the last couple weeks? Someone may be able to update that. Clearly, that's under your purview, but it'd be nice just to have all these things we approve and all the things that are supposed to come in the budget and where they're at and who's responsible for those. We talked a little bit about the repair on the side of Vern's building as well as the one across from that. I'm gonna wake Corey up. Corey, what's the one across from Vern's that also the siding isn't done? They tore it down, but they haven't repaired it. Right on the corner of the plaza there.
Chip Boutique? Chippy Door.
And are we moving forward with making them comply with city ordinance? I mean, it's been in disrepair for.
So that would probably fall under our code enforcement, so we can have Robin, have her check into that and follow up with you with our code enforcement and see where they're at with that, so.
Okay, so in 2 weeks, I'll ask that one again.
Yeah, well, she can follow up
Okay.
this week,
Okay.
get you an email to you.
All right, and then because we are gonna be pushing the parking most likely out a little further, we talked again about this, several of us, about getting more lighting downtown. Our old light posts look cool, but they don't put out much light. And so either changing those to LEDs or especially getting the free parking areas more well lit as people may be walking instead of paying for the meters when they come. So I just want to make sure that's, it feels like it's midnight right now, right? Because it's already been dark since 4 this afternoon.
Yeah.
So just to get some good lighting in those areas, if we want people to walk to those areas and park in those areas, we need to make them as safe as we can, and lighting is certainly one of those.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I know that I've talked with Mr. McDonald. You know, there's especially the intersection of Main and Kimball is a big issue, and that's a great point, that if we're gonna have additional people parking over there because of the free parking, that there's gonna be more traffic using that, so I know
Along the train tracks too, I mean,
Yep.
you know, we need to have that lit up.
Yep.
Over there. And then just one more, I don't wanna steal any of your thunder, but I'm just gonna call it the garbage reimbursement.
Yeah.
Get an
Go-
update
yeah.
for our citizens on that?
That will be going out in December, so that people will see that on their December bill.
Can you explain what they're gonna see on their December bill?
So, there will be a credit on, every single account of, I believe it's about $75. Essentially every account, personal or business, and it will be applied to the entire account, so they'll see it, not just for garbage, but if they have a water, like, it'll be applied toward the entire bill. And, so there'll be a reduction. And if their bill is less than $75, it will carry forward for the next month until that credit is used up. So.
Thank you, let me scroll down. No, I think you're.
You said that was your last one, so.
It was. But that was pretty good.
Yeah,
We needed to be updated on some of that stuff, so
Okay,
it's great
very
to
good.
have.
Yeah, for sure, and
Thank
we'll make
you.
sure we follow up with those emails.
I wanted to make those guys sit here just a little while. The results aren't in anyway.
Make them sweat, so, okay, thank you so much. Counselor
Like you
Williams.
did to me.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My list isn't quite as long, but I got quite a few because I'm gonna be up late tonight anyway. But, a question about that lawnmower out at the, golf course. We recently bought those automated robot lawnmowers, and now 2 weeks in a row, that one at Fairview has been disabled. And I just wonder if we could get somebody to really look into that. If there's a warranty issue, we probably ought to get on that while it's still relatively new. And I thought it occurred to me at the last minute to add it to my list. Not even sure who that would be to go to, but I'll let you decide who ought to look into that. But we paid too much money for those to be malfunctioning already. And, unfortunately, it was Sunday both times, that lawnmower, it's either been messed with or something's going wrong with it. But I'd appreciate it if we could look into that just for the sake of, good, management of those really costly and efficient lawnmowers. Well worth the money, no doubt. But, something's wrong with one of them at Fairview for sure. Got an email, I think we all did, from and I'll probably say his name wrong, Mr. Cody Stallwachter. He was concerned about noise, had a noise complaint. Chief, I don't know if you got this, but I think it was particularly with mufflers and cars, and I know there is a city ordinance, but he sent that email to all of us, and so I wanted to make mention of it, kind of give him, credit for having been heard at least. Obviously that's a tricky one to handle because it's a very subjective issue to enforce. And so I don't know that I have a recommendation or a suggestion other than, we do have, ordinances against that. And so I want to recognize that he was heard, and, we'll do the best we can, as always, for the citizens of Caldwell in that regard. I bumped into, August from the street department. In fact, he just voted when I saw him, and, so had I. But, he mentioned to me he's short 10 employees. You guys know all this already, but I think a shout out to August and the street department. They do a phenomenal job, but we're going into winter now. And so he's probably gonna need some help, and department heads and others will probably expect to hear from him asking for people to give them a hand so they can keep up with the roads. I don't think we can expect them to do more than they're humanly able to do, but again, probably more of a shout out to our street department in that comment, than anything. I ran into a commissioner from our historic commission, and, Robin, there was just a question from her as to, somebody from planning and zoning being at those commission meetings. And I wasn't even aware that P and Z had someone present at those meetings, but this commissioner expressed a request and a desire to have someone from P and Z there at those meetings. Again, it's just me conveying information because I don't really know how it goes or what the need was, but I think if there is a need there, if you could take a look at that and address it, I don't even need a follow-up, just for that commissioner's sake, I said I would bring it up. And then finally, so that I can let Brad go back to sleep because now that he's retired, we did have a great 100-year kind of get-together brainstorming session for the rodeo, and I'm surprised that wasn't on your list, but there's a lot.
Thought on yours.
Thank you for leaving me something on your 20-point list, but a lot going on, a lot the city ought to be looking forward to, and we've even mentioned it in our crossing, and the city's going to have some opportunity to become involved in some of that. It's going to be a great event, and I won't say any more about it other than looking forward to it and the ways that we can participate with the Caldwell Night Rodeo to celebrate their 100th year.
Very good. Thank you so much. Councilor Allgood.
Well, I hate to chime in. This is the busiest council
I know.
reports in a long time. We have kind of created an issue for ourselves, and partially Urban Renewal's fault. You know, for years and years, O'Connor Fieldhouse and the accompanying properties, rodeo and all that, they've never really been in the black. We've always funded them to keep them going. And with Urban Renewal's help, we helped the county build the fair building, and now they're in direct competition with us. They actually charge almost exactly the same fee to rent their brand-new building as what we charge for O'Connor Fieldhouse. So we are already losing business we used to have at O'Connor Fieldhouse to the county fair building. So I see in our future that we may be having to subsidize that property even more. And so I think we need to get it on our radar to figure out how we can do things differently to try to, you got that?
Juan and I are already meeting.
Okay, and I've been having some discussions with Juan as well. We just kind of maybe need to think outside the box and maybe come up with some ways to, because with the county fair building in competition with us, we're going to lose revenue pretty steadily. And then the only other thing was swearing in Marshall this evening made me feel really, really old. Marshall's grandfather, Bill Bowie, was a FBI agent forever, and I worked with him. We did SWAT stuff. He was a SWAT instructor with the FBI, and we did stuff, I mean, back in the 90s, and you're right, Marshall looks like he's 15. But yeah, when I saw him there, and I knew his dad, because his dad's been a cop in Ada County a long time, but anyway, seeing him there and thinking, holy cow, I worked with this kid's grandfather. That just kills me. But anyway.
Oh, very good. Okay, Councilor McGee.
No, I'd like the comments to end on Counselor Allgood working with someone's grandson, so I'm good for tonight.
Next it'll be that he trained that person's grandson or grandfather. Okay, excellent. Well, thank you so much. So just real quick, this Thursday is the Mayor's Cup with College of Idaho basketball. So that'll be C of I taking on NNU here in Caldwell. So I had to bring the Mayor's Cup back to give to Regan, and hopefully we get it back on Thursday, retain it here in Caldwell. So excited for that. Should be a lot of fun. So I invite you to go out to that. And then Winter Wonderland will have happened before our next council meeting. So that is next Friday and Saturday and Sunday. So next weekend, looking forward to that. If you desire to help raise some money for the Carrie French statue or veterans, you can come and dunk me in a dunk tank on Friday night. So we're doing bringing back, I did this about 5 years ago, but we're bringing back is the Polar Bear Plunge dunk tank. So we'll have that going Friday night. Chief Ingram has volunteered to go the first half hour. There he is in the back, and then I'll be in the second half hour. So our goal is to raise $2,000, and that's going to go directly to the fund to help build the Carrie French statue for the fallen Women's Memorial out at Idaho Veterans Garden. So we're working on sponsorships. The goal is to get about $1,500 in sponsorships, and hopefully raise $500 from people throwing balls to try to dunk me and the chief on that. So we're looking forward to that, and just to be, how short?
How short are we on that?
I know we're doing a presentation, check presentation for them, money we raised at the 4th of July for just over $20,000, but the statue is around $150,000, if I remember right. It's a world-class statue. I mean, this is gonna be one of the best in the state of Idaho. The sculptor is world-renowned, has multiple pieces in the United States Capitol. So this is the memorial for the state of Idaho for the fallen women of the military. So they want to do it right and do it justice to Carrie. She was an amazing, young woman that gave her life, serving her country. And I believe, and I don't know where the number they're at now, but I think they're over $100,000 raised. Do you know, Councilor Stoddard?
Boise folks have contributed there too, and I've been trying to find out from Danny where we're at on that. He hasn't returned my call.
Oh, you know, so we should be able to find out on Monday, I would imagine. So we're getting there, but we figure every little bit helps. So if we can raise $2,000 that night, I'm all for it. So even if it means I freeze my keister off. So I'm not young like Chief Ingram back there, but I think I'll survive. So, and that was really all I had. So yeah, it's good to have you back up here, Councilor Doty. And it was a good night tonight. I've been able to recognize some amazing athletes and the volunteers that give there, and amazing, Officer Register, what he did, and recognizing pancreatic cancer awareness for this month on that. So I'll end there, and then we do have an executive session. So if I could get a motion for that, and please, if you could just read, we do need to read pretty much word for word what's in there for the executive session.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilor.
I move we go into executive session per Idaho Code Section 74-206, subsection 1, parentheses I, for the purpose of engaging in communications with a representative of the public agency's risk management or insurance provider to discuss the adjustment of a pending claim or prevention of a claim imminently likely to be filed.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Stoddard, second from Councilor Williams, to go into executive session as detailed in the motion. Counselor, Mrs. Guyer, would you please call the roll?
Stoddard?
Yes.
You're good.
Yes. McGee?
Yes.
Allgood? Allgood?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Doty?
Yes.
Okay, that motion passes. We'll be moving into executive session.
Young lady for high school government. Young lady sat through council for a government class and
Very good. So what school do you go to?
I actually go to Middleton High School, but I live in Charles.
Very good.